At this point, your students already know that Y says I at the end of one syllable words like my, buy, and cry. But once you have taught them rabbits and maybe even tigers and camels, they will need to know that Y says E at the end of two syllable words. So that is what this instructional video will demonstrate. If you have a two syllable word, usually the Y says E. Now, there are some exceptions to this, like in the words certify and satisfy. The rule is basically Y says I at the ends of one syllables, Y says E at the end of two syllables. Unless it doesn't, then you revert back to the I. For trace copy cover, which is in your Google folder, you should trace the letter Y, and your student should be saying Y says E at the end of a two syllable word. Y says E at the end of a two syllable word. Now, it will depend what you've already covered as to which words you will include. So if you have only taught rabbits, you will have to keep it pretty simple, like words like bunny and grumpy and funny for reading. And then you'll really need to be careful for spelling, because bunny will not work for them because they probably will only put in one N. You should definitely do your first day of Y says E at the ends of two syllables. Then probably the next day you want to mix Y says I with Y says E. When you get to the spelling part of it, you could set up a nice T-chart where they have Y says I and Y says E. You dictate a word like navy, ask them to repeat it, and then ask them, is it one syllable or two syllables? Which column is it going to go in? How come? Okay, how do you spell it? So you can see that the first column is really simplistic. The second column, though, if you look at navy and gravy, they need to know tigers and camels. If you look at Nancy, they would need to know gentle Cindy and rabbit. And then if you look at a word like party, it's just a rabbit with an R controlled with this Y says E at the end.